you can control it in memory a little bit more by adding it into and removing the event listener. You had more control on how much of a load it was going into the web page. And then he also said that he liked it a lot from it separates your JavaScript itself from your HTML in the same way that CSS separates it. Because, kind of like what I was talking about, when I first looked this up, I found a page that was talking about how to do events, and all of his examples were just purely in the actual HTML code with the script tag in the actual ID or class itself. And so this is one of the things that he said he's enjoyed working with that event listener, so he can separate that a little bit more. It's a little easier to read and it doesn't clutter up the initial page itself. Again, I wasn't able to get too many examples. I threw this together after I just got back from work and realized that I hadn't saved everything that I was working on or uploaded everything I was working on. But just a quick example, and this is just a really super basic example of it. But this is just a input where you're just doing a button, and your DOM element is going to be event click, and then you just have click me, and it'll just create a little button that just says click me. And then in the script, you can do down here, a function called event clicker, and then basically I've just said in it very simply alert hello world. That's about as simple as you get. And to call that, basically I've just done document by .getElement by ID, and then here's where you're referencing the I realize that I'm not using my laser pointer, I apologize. Here's where you use the event click, and you're referencing up here with the actual element ID that you're trying to reference here. And then this is the .add event listener. And then click is the event itself. When you're doing like the other traditional types of events, oftentimes you'll do like on click or on mouse over. When you're doing add event listener, you won't do the on, you'll just do the click itself. And then event clicker, which is referencing the function that you've created. And one of the advantages of using add event listener that I didn't actually list in this code, one of the things I was trying to play around with was an advantage to this is you can actually have multiple events or functions, or I'm not sure the exact terminology used, but multiple in one thing. So for example, I could have two functions in that same event, and it would be able to pull both of them, whereas the traditional style, which it would be just doing like on click without the add event listener, you'd only be able to do one at a time.
I was going to mention that earlier, that was one of the major advantages. Is like if you had on the previous two methods for attaching an event, you could only, if you wanted multiple click events, like if you clicked, you wanted to run 2 or 3 functions, there was no way to do that. With this way, you can have 2 or 3 different event listeners on the same action, but calling different functions. So, yep.
How does it know which one to click on, though?
It runs them all.
Yeah, unless you tell it specifically otherwise, it'll run all of them that you're telling it to run.
Oh, so you can gang a bunch of different events together like that in one function?
Correct.
Yep. Wouldn't you have to do? You might. Sounds like you're even a little bit further than I am by this. But wouldn't you have to create multiple functions then, or would you be able to? Would you just do multiple functions and then just list them in there?
So you have to do separate lines. So like that bottom line you've got there, you have to do basically copy that line and do another one below it and have the different function name. When you're doing these, yeah, go ahead.
I do document.getElement by ID, event click dot add event listener. So all of this would be the same,
minus the event clicker.
It would be a different function.
You could do a different function. Yep. And
so I can.
yeah, and if you clicked, it would do the event clicker plus function 2. Let's say that's what you called it.
So you would have to set up a separate function. You couldn't gang multiple events within that same function, correct?
Not within that same line, no.
Okay, all right.
But again, it's just an event listener. So basically it says, okay, if there's a click on this item, I need to do this, and you have basically two processes watching for that click to run just different functions. I accidentally ran into this. Basically, when I was doing my code, I forgot to. One of my functions was adding the event clicker to one of my add buttons. I forgot that I was adding it multiple times, so every time I would add one, the next time I'd add another card, it'd do 2 events, and then the next time I'd add a third card, it'd do 3 events, and I'm like, what is going on? It was because I was adding multiple event clickers, and so... But yeah, that's one of the major advantages of doing this.
Why would you just not use the on-click button or something like that versus a listener? What is the listener? I still don't. I'm trying to pull together in my mind what a listener does.
Yeah.
Over and above other.
So if you're actually doing like the HTML code, like on the actual input where you say on click equals and then the function, you can only do that once. You can't put another on click equals this, on click equals this. There's only one way, there's only one attribute for that. So if you wanted to tie multiple events to it, you can't in that method. There's no way.
So, for example, if you wanted to have the font change and also change the color of it, would that be where you'd use an add listener?
Yeah, you could have 2 separate functions that do those 2 separate things. One that does the color and one that does the font size or whatever. So.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to have to play around with that one because I don't teach that one. I'll be interested to learn more about that one.
Yeah, because I was looking at a lot of different forums on this, and a lot of them are saying that students, even just on recent posts, are saying that they're going through entire classes and they're not being taught this at all. So I think and again, for me, there's so many ways to do so many things, and I've always been kind of obsessed with best practice, and sometimes that gets in my way of actually just flat out learning how to do it. But that's kind of what got me interested in this one. And there are reasons why you would just do the other one, because if you are never going to run into a scenario or in your programming where you're going to want to do more than one, the other one's just as easy.
Yeah.
But the one of the big advantages is that you can and have the ability to run more than one.
The other kicker is what he said earlier, is splitting it out. So JavaScript is in one file, HTML is in another, and CSS is in another. They don't intermingle.
Yeah.
So in his coding example right there, the HTML up above those 3 lines, that would be one file, and then you'd call script to include the JavaScript from another file. And notice there's no JavaScript in that input tag. So it's all just HTML. Just makes it easier to delineate.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of functions. It's kind of like that list that I showed a while back on DOM. I'm just going, oh my gosh, look at all those features.
Yeah, there's a huge list.
There's a lot to learn.
Yeah, I'm definitely behind the 8 ball on getting myself to where I need to be on these things. So,
Dan.
well, I'm glad I'm not the only one. And then just last, I basically just went through and just found a short list of some of the most common events. And again, over here it says on change, on click, on mouse over. When you're doing the add event listener, you just omit the on, because the event listener automatically knows that it's going to be, that on's going to be there. And then these are just some of my sources. Oh, sorry, what was that?
I'll have to play around with that a little bit. That's interesting.
Yeah, and then these are just some of my sources: W3 Schools, Mozilla, developer.mozilla, and then a couple of YouTube channels that I found. One of the ones that I found that was really helpful on getting my basics, and I'm actually going to go through a lot more of his videos. A guy named A Full X or something like that. It's on one of these. I don't remember which one it is. But he's some English guy, and he, again, same reason why I like tutorial points. Tutorials point is very beginner friendly, but it still presented the information. And Mark, if you want to kind of get an understanding of what he talked about on that one, I don't remember if it's the first or the second YouTube link, but he has one specifically on this, and that's the one that helped me to understand at least the basics of it. So
I'll take a look at it. Yeah, you mentioned earlier, it's funny you said about best practice. I typed in today best practice of JavaScript, best practice JSON. And it's amazing how many links of their, I found 24 best practices for JavaScript, that kind of thing.
Yep.
And you look at the dates on those, make sure they're not, 20 years ago or 10 or whatever.
Well, exactly. But, I mean, there's so many.
Really recent, that it's the best practice for, what you should do on certain things. And so,
yep.
Yeah, it's out there, it's available.
Yep.
That is the
that's
side of the
all I
internet.
have.
That's the downside of the internet, is that nothing goes away.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. Unless they let that domain expire, which, unfortunately, they don't do it enough.
They should set it up, though, so that the older documents go further down the page. So it's set up by date or something, I don't know.
Well, if a lot of people are searching for the same thing and keep clicking it, Google's going to keep recommending it.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's true. That's true.
So really quickly, wanted to talk about our application so we could submit it to
Yes.
Brother James.
Yeah.
So are we decided? The last discussion we had, we were talking in the chat about the restaurant app that would basically, depending on your location, give you suggestions within a certain mile radius of different restaurants. Do we want to stick with that? Do we want to do something different? I'm not married to any of these ideas. I'm just I'm just throwing them out there, trying to see what sticks to the wall.
Yeah, honestly, trying to find an idea, they're hard to come about, just because there's so many different ways or things you could do.
To be honest, as far as the ones that are in the scope of this class, I don't have to. The one that interested me was the one that is outside of the scope of this class, but I don't have the MySQL and PHP experience to even say, hey, let's try and figure that one out.
Yeah.
So, I think that we should stick to something like a restaurant finder or something like that.
Yeah. That's why I was saying, if we find some kind of API that we could make calls against, that way we know what our data is. Now we just have to ride around that. That's, in my opinion, that's always the hardest thing. What data am I going to use?
Does Google have an API that has basically what their restaurants are in their database around them?
That was gonna be my next question. How does Google Maps do it?
So Google Maps does it through an API as well. Let me pull that up for you so I can show you guys. They've got the Maps or the Places API. If it'll... Oh, I forget I got this... I restarted the recording app. I'm trying to get it fixed. So this is the Places API. You can... There was actually one... I'm missing where it's at now. There was a... Oh, here we go. Examples. Showcase. Woo! That's what I was looking for. So, like this one. This is where I got all the ideas from. Some of them. But like this food spotting one is a Google Places API, and all it does is make calls out to Google Places to figure out where you're at, and you can save these places. Oh my gosh, come on! You can save these places that you want, but it goes off your location, so you can get your current location, and it'll pull right into where I'm at, and it gives a couple restaurants that are in the vicinity. So for some reason it thinks I'm on Willow Way, which isn't even close enough, I guess, though. But
yeah, not quite there, right?
yeah, not quite there.
Yeah, I mean, he mentioned, Brother James mentioned the Mashape website. I've been looking through there, and there are a lot of interesting APIs that people have there. There's like,
What site was it? I didn't quite get that when he said it.
here I'll link so it's Mashape, MASHAPE. So market.mashape.com will bring you to where you can look up all the different APIs.
Oh, wow.
They have a US phone number lookup API. You might be interested in that one, Mark.
What's that?
They have a US phone number lookup API.
Huh.
Some of them are more in depth than others, but I mean, I think that using the food app and just doing like a finder.
Yeah, does that seem to be in the scope of what we can accomplish in 3 weeks?
I mean, you don't have to include the map. I mean, literally, you could just have it figure out where you're at and then give you the closest places within 10 miles.
You just tell you?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
You don't have to display the map. Just say these are the items.
Okay.
I thought the Edmonds one was going to be really hard to do, but as I dug into it, it was actually pretty simple. The only hard one that I am having trouble with is this one here. Getting the actual next maintenance crap, because there's so many variables, but whatever.
For your auto?
Yeah, for the auto one.
Is a little different than hard for me, though, in this context.
Yeah, Owen, hard for you means it's impossible for me. So.
Not
You know,
always.
Honestly, this is how I look at it, guys. You're exactly right, Jan. It just means that Olin will do it in a half hour. It'll take us 3 weeks.
Yep.
3 months. What are you talking about?
3 months, whatever it is. It just means it's a time difference.
They
I'm
have a
like,
Yoda translator. That's awesome.
Nice.
right now I'm fighting with a PHP line in my 230 class, and I cannot get this to work for nothing. So yeah, this is like completely foreign.
List of open APIs. Wikipedia
Yeah,
has
I
one.
remember that
We
class.
will conquer, though, eventually.
230 wasn't too bad. That was kind of a nice class, wasn't it?
Not with my teacher,
Who do you have?
Martin.
Oh, okay. Blizzard is awesome. I don't know if he still teaches, but I had him last year. He was good.
I don't remember who my teacher was, but he was an older gentleman, but he was super helpful.
Yeah, this guy doesn't help at all. I've stopped emailing him because he won't answer my emails. He doesn't hold office hours. Yeah.
Well, Jan, look at it this way. When you get to my age, I look at it as C's get degrees.
I'm going to ask you a dumb question, Mark. How old are you?
I'm 20 years old.
Yeah.
So am I.
Almost 60. Getting there.
I got a couple of years for 60 yet, but yeah, I'm close.
But that's, I don't anticipate this being a career change by any means. It's really something that, I'll use quite a bit just on my own and for fun. And I mean, you never know. It could be a career change, but I don't think the grade in my perspective, is going to be there. I'm just more focused on learning and understanding. and I'm slow at getting there, so it does take a ding on my grade because of it.
Yeah.
But that's okay by me, as long as I can get the assignments done.
That's kind of where I'm working towards it. Hopefully it'll be career change.
If you're Chuck or Olin, they're young enough that, yeah, they want to get good grades. They want to be able to get into a career doing this.
Yep.
It'll be awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I've already got a beat on where I'm going to go once I get graduated. I just need to get there and do it.
Nice. What are you thinking?
Well, the company I work for has an IT department, and I've already worked it out with them. But basically, once I'm to the point where I'm just a semester or two out of graduating, they'll look at getting me over there.
That's great. You can get your internship done.
Yep, that actually very, very easily.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure that part out of the degree on how I do like an internship when I already got a job and I really don't have time to go do an internship.
Yeah.
Well, you do web stuff for your job, though. Is that correct?
No,
Okay. Never mind.
No, we do have a web. Obviously, I mean, I work for Jive Communications, and so we do have a full-fledged, development department and marketing and all that, and they do a lot of this. So I'll be talking to them a little bit on what they use and what are the tools that they use to create our site, development, research, marketing, all that.
Check this out. Family Search even has a API. They got all these different ones you can go through for your family history. For it even had the memory stuff, the ordinances that were done. Pretty flippin' cool.
Nice.
Wow, this is huge.
So we need to turn in our proposal, guys. So what are we gonna do?
Well, I think we just go with the
restaurant.
I mean, we could say ideas all day long, for the next couple weeks, but I think we just grab the food deal and go with it.
Yeah, unless any of us all of a sudden come up with something where we feel strongly that, hey, this would be something that would just be really fun and good to work on, I think we go with the food one for now.
Okay. I'll send it to him. It's already been reviewed. I sent it because I sent a list to him for the personal. Come on. Where was it? So yeah, here were the 3 that I sent to him, and the restaurant randomizer was one of them. And he said that they all sounded good, and that they would all be fine. So we'll just let him know that this is the one we're gonna do.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Rexburg, Idaho will be a little bit, there won't be too many things that pop up on my feed, but...
Yeah.
Olin, it sounds like you're going to be the bad guy.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're going to be the bad guy, according to his email. Did you read the email that he sent out?
They sent it to our BYU.
Yeah. I think... Well, yeah, I think it was on the BYU, or was it on the general I learned?
I'm not 100%
He just said
sure.
somebody's got to be the bad guy to keep everyone on track.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. He said it both. Yeah, it was yeah. So he said make the schedule the bad guy, not yourself. So
Something like. But I think we'll all be pretty good about keeping everybody on track, and
Fine.
if we don't understand something, we're going to ask, so it doesn't matter. We have a really good group. We don't have anybody that's not really doing anything.
I feel like I'm a little bit behind you guys, but I will definitely keep up.
No, Chuck,
Don't take your time, but yeah.
it doesn't matter what level you are. I mean, it's, we each are going to get our assignments, and if we don't understand it, we're going to ask, So,
Yeah. I've already called on Olin a few times.
we just got to, if we don't know something, we don't know it. We got to ask so we can get it done. Keep the project on track.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Okay, let's move forward with that then.
Well, I got some of this recorded tonight. I had to restart it, but
Okay.
I at least got some. So the important part is recorded. The last part.
I'll next week I'll go ahead and record as well. Hold on. And actually my subscription will be up by then. Dang it, never mind.
Well, I'm hoping to get this fixed with them. They're going through the really stupid crap right now. Like, are your drivers up to date? Are you whatever? So I'm hoping to get to the actual meat of the troubleshooting.
What's going on?
So I'm actually thinking on my own. When I did the upgrade, I didn't uninstall Snagit 11, nor did it do that for me. So I might just uninstall all this and start from scratch. So
You might have something like in the registry or something like that.
Yeah.
either way,
I go back and uninstall the old stuff, or uninstall all of it, and then re-download and reinstall Snagit.
yeah. Either way, I paid money for it, and I have a year's worth of maintenance, so they better fix it. So either way, my previous one coming, the skeletons are coming out of the closet here, but my previous one, Snagit 11, I had taken from my last job, and so it was a quote-unquote pirated one, so I decided, you know what, I'll just buy my own since I'm using it enough, and it wasn't that expensive anyway, so.
Yeah, the thing is, I mean, you start to use that stuff in school and various things, you might as well.
Yeah.
Aren't you almost,
Do what?
aren't you almost done with your schooling?
Yeah, this is my last semester.
That's right, that's right.
Yep. Cool. Well, next week's going to be a busy week teaching-wise. We got 4 people up. We got Jan, Mark, myself, and Dan. Everyone but Tiff, basically. So.
I'll try and keep it short.
Yeah, not a big deal. We got an hour and a half, so.
Well, I mean, typically I don't do very large demos. They're pretty short too, so I think we can accomplish, even if we had to have all 5 of us do a demo. Of course, Tiff is done,
Yeah.
so I'll be doing one each week. So we have one this next week and the following week, and then after that we start our project, right?
Jan's got one on week 11. Actually, that reminds me. Jan, did you want to move your week 11 one up to week 10? So that way we can have week 11 to start hashing out the application?
If I have to.
Okay.
You'll be fine, Jan. It doesn't matter.
So.
Yeah, it does, because I'm about six assignments yet to turn in.
Hey, Jan, your presentation will still be better than the one I just did.
I'll do my best.
That'll help. So. Cool.
Am I the only one on week 11?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was, and I moved it to 8.
I was on 11 as well, but I moved it as well.
Alright, then move me up to 10.
Okay.
I'll try
Done.
to figure it out between now and then.
You've been moved.
My presentation is in the drive, so if you need to reference any of the data that wasn't part of tonight's recording because it crashed, you can at least see it there. So.
Yep.
Cool.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
See ya.
Alright, cool.